America's greatest conservationists investing in our parks. Today, concessionaires provide services ranging from lodging, food service, gifts, souvenirs, equipment rentals, transportation, and more in more than 100 national park units. Annual sales of these services reached $1.1 billion and provide 25,000 jobs in parks. Some $100 million in franchise fees and other payments to the National Park Service. Concessionaires manage guest donation programs that have contributed millions of dollars to park programs and projects. The Park Service estimates its economic value to the nation at least $13 billion, and it's probably much higher. There are large contributions that parks already make to our balance of trade. Every international visitor that we bring to this country is a huge benefit to us, and we have the capability to do that. As we look ahead, the opportunity to work with the Corporation for Travel Promotion is a great opportunity, and we've taken some important steps forward through powwow and a variety of other kinds of things, and you'll hear more about that. Right now, as a result of a project taken by the concessionaires, creating an HD video for powwow in San Francisco, there are now 700 concerts across the world showing an HD 30-minute video of national parks, and that will be for the next 2 years, each year hitting 15 million people who are traveling to this country. That will certainly affect their plans for their time here in this country. Concessionaire employees are among the primary faces and voices shaping the experience of park visitors, and we're excited about that. Not only do concessionaires seek to be great hoteliers and restaurateurs, they also seek and are great park champions and park stewards. That's our objective. We believe that the importance of national parks to our nation can grow still more than it is today. We're not willing to simply fight to maintain the status quo and say, okay, if we can simply protect current levels of appropriations, we'll be doing a great job. We're not willing to see the quality of parks and park experiences erode. We're not willing to fight battles without a strategic plan to win the war. A war for America's minds and hearts, and especially a war for the hearts and minds of America's youth. We think there are tremendous opportunities. The call to action is so appropriate. Visioning is great. America's conservation movement has been led by people with great visions, but it is the action that has followed those visions that has really put us where we are today. This is an important step forward. It's a need that we can, we should, we must respond to. So congratulations to all of you for what you've done, and just get ready, because I think together we can be tremendous forces for good in the next 100 years. And now, Neil.
You know, one of the things is the three of us were talking, you know, what is the essence of call to action and why we all assembled in this room. And it's really, you know, why we're doing these introductions, and I'll introduce this to the foundation here in a minute, is the intent is to focus on what we have, what we can do with what we have, what we individually bring to the table, and what we can accomplish in partnership, and what we can leave as our individual and collective legacy. The National Park Foundation was established by Congressional Act in 1967 as a philanthropic partner of the National Park Service. We're based here in Washington, D.C. We have a staff of 30 here in D.C. In a few minutes, we'll talk more about the programmatic things that we do and that we're known for. But there's a number of other things that the foundation does. We've had the great honor and distinction to lead a fundraising campaign for the Flight 93 National Memorial. It's a public-private partnership, and we're going to talk about public-private partnerships, and the call to action really speaks to that, but where we've raised the $30 million private sector funding for the completion of the memorial. Derrick talked about the guest donation program. The foundation has a complete accept and administer function where we manage accounts such as the guest donation program. We manage those funds as a fiduciary agent. We have over 200 accounts today that we manage for different units of the Park Service. These are some of the things that we do in the background. And then we work on philanthropy. And we're going to talk about that. But I want to talk to you about what the foundation believes in. Is commensurate with the development of the call to action, we took the opportunity to also do our own strategic planning. Look at what we want to do, what our role is over the next 5 years at the foundation. And from that, it created a focus that tightened our alignment first and foremost with the National Park Service. Congress set us up to serve the National Park Service and to grow philanthropy at both the national and local park level. So, through this focus and through this strategic planning exercise, the National Park Foundation, in partnership with the National Park Service, enriches America's national parks and programs through private support. That's what we are. We're the conduit to bring private sector dollars into our national parks to support programs and other opportunities. The National Park Foundation believes private resources are critical to enhancing America's national parks, monuments, historic places, and programs. We believe national parks are treasured resources, and all Americans have a responsibility to visit, understand, protect, care for, and then pass them on. The Foundation believes by engaging people across all ages, races, and backgrounds, we will create the next generation of park supporters. We believe in quality relationships, the relationships that we want to foster and grow here in this room. It's through quality relations and partnerships that best multiply direct positive impacts on the National Park Service. We believe in the National Park Service and fully support and endorse the call to action. We also believe in conversation, and here today we want to hear from all of you and learn more about what you're working on and how we can work together. We're excited to be partnered with the National Parks Conservation Association and the National Park Hospitality Association, working collaboratively with the National Park Service and the Friends Alliance that are here today, and the concessionaires. To begin a conversation today about how we can all work together to ensure the National Park System flourishes in the next century. I want to thank each of you for your participation in giving the most precious asset you have, your time, and your willingness to join us on this journey. We hope it is working collaboratively together, we can unite around a shared vision for 2016. In the second century for the national parks, for which we advocate, promote, and we provide support. While each of our missions and roles may be different, it will be our collective work and our ability to unify the larger parks community that will help ensure the future of our national parks. And if we don't, there's some great examples out there. Look what's happening today in the state of California. You know, a state that had a robust economy 20 years ago is in tatters today. They have a state park system that they're looking at park closures, and we don't want that to happen here. Foundation, we're committed to being a leader in increasing park philanthropy throughout the national park system. We look forward to our continued collaboration and partnership with the existing Friends groups, all of which are here, many of which are here today, and where appropriate, you know, helping create new Friends groups that can be additive to the national park system. So, you know, we're very thrilled about our role in providing park philanthropy, our role in working with you, and how we can create public-private partnerships, because that's really going to be the way of the future. You know, we have many people look at the National Park Service, and like Tom talked about, you know, they test off the charts. You look at it, they're apolitical. It's a great thing in a very divided society. But we got to get beyond that. That's why I pay my taxes. You know, we don't want to lose one tax dollar. We're going to count on MPC to make sure that the budgets don't get cut. But on the same token, too, we got to rally America, and we got to, you know, create a conduit from the private sector to get involved and help continue to support the parks.
Thanks, Neil. All right. What we've decided to do is to utilize the 4 categories of action topics, the buckets as John's referred to them, and to address them. The first one we'll address is the connecting people to parks. And all of this is framed by the overall goals of creativity and flexibility and partnerships and things like that. But what we'd like to do is just talk about how each one of our organizations is particularly looking at some of these as opportunities for adding to the resources of the Park Service to bring to bear the kinds of talents that are within our communities. And let me just say, Tom raised the filling in the blanks. I think that's tremendously important. And the concessionaires look forward to finding a way to be a support for whether it's the Fork and Rose, or even as we look at existing units like Anacostia, and trying to think about how we can take something that's such a potential marvelous part of the park system and how concessionaires can play an active role in that. As we look ahead, there are numbers of these that are here as we talk about the history lesson that parks can provide. We see a role for concessionaires in trying to ensure that Wi-Fi and other technology uses helped the Park Service provide that kind of a lesson in history. I'm particularly delighted to see issue number 6, Take a Hike, Call Me in the Morning. For those of you who know Daphne Miller, you know that that was her way to phrase what she was talking about, a doctor in San Francisco. And we certainly like the evolution. You know, one of the things I think we can do as we start talking about connecting people to parks is look at bringing in new constituencies. And I kind of look at the constituencies as an acronym HEAT: health, education, and tourism. If we can bring heat to the parks movement, I think we will have done a tremendous job. And certainly, as John knows, when he spoke on Sunday, the American Public Health Association, what a tremendous new outreach that was. There was a time when there was a subcommittee of the National Park System Advisory Board looking at recreation and health in 2003, 2004, and OMB was warning about Mission Creek and talking about this is not a role for the Park Service. Now we understand how it's a logical part of what the parks can mean to this country. The Eat Well and Prosper, John has touched on that. Obviously, we're excited about continuing to demonstrate, not just while people are in parks, but the takeaway message, so that when they leave the parks, they understand the advantages of sustainable agriculture and good food choices and nutritional balance and all those kinds of things. I'm particularly pleased to say that the concessions community likes the Arts Afire call to action and will take special action involving American Indian arts and crafts. We envision a way to showcase American Indian artists within the parks and to create the stores in national parks as a major method for people to buy credible works of art for their use. Follow the flow. Water is a very significant lure. In fact, the President's Commission on Americans Outdoors found that 75% of all recreation activity occurred within a very narrow swath around our major rivers and lakes and coastal areas. Connecting people to the water is a logical role for concessioners to take on through marinas and a variety of other kinds of things. I think here in the area of Fletcher's Boathouse, where you can rent canoes and rowboats and fish and do so many more things. There need to be ways that help Americans get onto the water. And finally, I'll add one that's not specific in here that's very important. The campgrounds of the national parks are a tremendous asset. Many of us spend time camping in national parks, going to sleep after listening to a ranger talk, waking up in the morning, taking cold water showers, going out on hikes, having lots of fun. We have the capacity to greatly expand the number of people who are campers without adding any more park sites. But we need to renovate, we need to modernize, we need to improve and diversify campgrounds in America's national parks.
Great. Thank you very much, Derrick. Appreciate those places where you want to support and build upon. I mentioned earlier, fill in the blanks. The other ones that NPCA, and there are many, but I'll just highlight here number 4, In My Backyard. NPCA has been very active in urban areas throughout the country, most recently up in New York City, working on Gateway, and helped to encourage the recent MOU between the mayor and the secretary, and we've been supporting and applauding that effort as well as elsewhere throughout the country. Number 5, Parks for People. Strongly support RTCA. John's been leading on that. We'll be pushing for a doubling of the RTCA funding. Number 14, Value Added. I referenced earlier our economic analysis work and look forward to playing a role in supporting and assisting that. Those are some of the places that we want to actively support in connecting people to parks. 2 thoughts on how we want to build in this direction. First, there's been an effort over the last year among the Friends community and the concessionaire community to craft a constituency building